So this is a video of someone with dystonia. She is a swimmer, and what she's saying is that she's showing you that she can move her right hand freely.
C'est une vidéo d'une personne qui a une dystonie. C'est une nageuse, elle fait de la natation, et donc elle montre qu'elle peut bouger ses doigts.
So she can move her right hand fine. She's got dystonia in her left hand, so when she tries to move it, it goes into that strained posture. But when she tries to move both hands together, they both do it because she has dystonia.
Ok, elle a un problème avec la main gauche, et donc quand elle essaie de faire de bouger seulement la main gauche, elle a un problème. Mais quand elle le fait avec les deux mains, elle peut faire. Elle peut bouger les mains si elle utilise les deux mains en même temps. But this is how she overcomes.
No, it's just that's an example of how the dystonia works, because it's when she's trying to move both hands together that the right hand becomes affected. But if she just tries to move the right, it can move on its own. And this is, it says agitos, but it's actually a mix of agitos and chorea.
Agitos, c'est une vidéo de l'Agitos.
You can see the tremor type movement. It's a lot colder than here.
Yeah.
And you can see again when he's trying to do something, it's when the tremor comes. So when he's not moving, he's still. But when he tries to move, is when the tremor comes.
Ok. Quand il essaie de faire quelque chose, il commence à trembler. Et donc, quand il ne fait rien, il n'a pas de problème. Mais quand il essaie de faire quelque chose, il a.
In this case, I think sometimes I ask my athletes to not focus and concentrate a lot on the movement.
Yeah.
In order to forget about it, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
The attitude becomes less.
Yeah.
Not forced.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly. You're right. It's when you're really trying to concentrate that the movement becomes worse.
It becomes worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So our last type is ataxic cerebral palsy, which is the least common type, and it is the one where it's characterized by clumsiness and incoordination or instability, and it's caused by damage to the cerebellum of the brain, which is responsible for fine movement commands. So that's why if you have damage here, they struggle with the fine movements. So again, with agitos, the incoordination comes when the person tries to move, such as walking or trying to pick up an object. With ataxia, yeah, the same as with agitos. And it results in a lack of balance and coordination. And people with ataxia have got unsteady movements, difficulty maintaining balance, and might appear very unsteady or very shaky when they're because their sense of balance is affected.
C'est une vidéo de l'ataxie.
So with this, when he's just walking normally, he manages to go in a straight line, so with a wide walk. But when he tries to walk just on the line down the middle, he really struggles because he doesn't have that fine motor control.
Quand il marche normalement, il peut marcher sans problème. Et quand il essaie de suivre la ligne là, le fil, donc il a des difficultés à le faire.
Again,
il peut avoir des tremblements.
He struggles with the fine movement of writing.
Ok, même en écriture, il a des problèmes parce que voilà, ça doit être exact.
And again with the grasp and release, so he struggles to throw a ball or catch a ball because he's not got the fine motor movement.
Ok, aussi avec les objets, à tenir les objets, donc il a un problème.
But when he's put on a race runner, he's able to run as fast as he can. This is him, the same person.
Mais en course, donc il peut le faire parfaitement.
So I'll just show again.
Donc, en marchant, il n'y a pas de problème. C'est soit une concentration.
Or when he tries to do little movements, like fine, exact movements.
C'est quand il essaie de faire des mouvements exacts qu'il a un problème. Voilà, des mouvements de précision, c'est là où il perd le contrôle.
And just when you'll see in the video when he's running without the frame, he doesn't have any flight, so he doesn't ever take off the ground.
Ok. Vous l'avez vu quand il courait tout à l'heure. Donc,
So here, you can't really get that running movement. But with the frame, he's then able to run properly with both feet off the ground.
ok, avec cette bicyclette.
Frame, race runner. So just to show you that it's about choosing the right sport for the type of cerebral palsy. So there's lots of options to allow each type of cerebral palsy to take part in sport.
Donc, il est important de he says when you have three yeah. He says that they're confusing. The symptoms are similar.
Yeah.
How do you distinguish between the three?
Okay, yeah. They're similar, but there are bits that are unique to each type. So with dystonia, it's more the postures that the limb will go into. So with Claire, sorry to use you for example. So if Claire was to be writing with her right hand, her left arm would be going up like this. And that's dystonia because her arm is not under her control. And it's not when she's trying to move, so it's not like spasticity, but it's going into this posture, and that's dystonia. Agitos is more slow movements, so if they were sitting in a chair, and they'd be constantly slow writhing type movements. Shaking is more the chorea, so that's the brief movements, the quick movements is chorea.
The tricycle.
Like we saw on the
Is it especially for the ataxic people?
No, it's for any type of cerebral palsy, but of a certain severity. So we'll go into that later.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll just talk a little bit about the causes of cerebral palsy. So like we mentioned earlier, cerebral palsy is not genetic, so it doesn't come from your parents. But it occurs if a baby's brain doesn't develop normally or is damaged before birth, while they're in the womb, or is damaged during birth, or very shortly after birth. These here are some potential causes, but usually with cerebral palsy, you won't be able to say this is exactly what caused that person's cerebral palsy. So it can be from bleeding in the baby's brain, or reduced blood and oxygen supply, and that's again before, during, or after birth. It can be caused by an infection caught by the mother during pregnancy. It can be caused by the brain temporarily not getting enough oxygen during a difficult birth. Meningitis in infancy, or a serious head injury. these are some examples of what can cause cerebral palsy. So, and then if we talk about a little bit about how common cerebral palsy is. So throughout the world, the average is between 1.5 and 4 per 1,000 births will have cerebral palsy. That changes from country to country, but that's the world average. And rates are similar in both the developing and the developed world. But if a baby is born prematurely, or if they're really, really small when they're born, then the likelihood of them having cerebral palsy goes up. So in premature births, so if they're born before 36 weeks, it goes up to 40 in every 1,000. And the rate of cerebral palsy actually went up in the 70s and 80s because of this. It was more likely that these little babies would actually survive. So there was then more people in the world with cerebral palsy. So the GMFCS, which is the Gross Motor Function Classification System, is a way to describe the severity of someone with cerebral palsy. So this scale is used for all types of cerebral palsy, so spastic, dyskinetic, ataxic, and it's not used directly in sport classification, it's more a clinical classification, but it can be really useful to help determine what sports might be suitable for someone with cerebral palsy. So it starts with the least impaired, with level 1. So those in level 1 will be able to run and jump, carry objects while they're walking, but they might have a little bit of balance impairment. Those in level 2 might need a little bit more assistance, so they might struggle with running and jumping, but they can walk independently, but might need to hold a railing while going up and down stairs, that sort of thing. In level 3, those will usually have some sort of walking aid, like a frame or crutches, or they might manually transport themselves in a wheelchair. Level 4 would be more reliant on a wheelchair and might use an electric wheelchair or need assistance for standing and walking from another person. And then in level 5, those would struggle even to hold their head up, so their whole body is more affected and they would be in a wheelchair or a standing frame all of the time. And this here is the International Classification of Functioning, Disability and Health. So it was developed by the World Health Organization. It's all in your notebooks, but it's about creating a functional profile for a person. And it's about recognizing that each of these different parts of somebody's life will have an effect on each other. So it's split into 3, which is the body structure and function, and so that's one part, so that's about how their actual body is affected. Activity and participation, that's about what they do, what they take part in, what they enjoy. And then the bottom 2, environmental factors and personal factors, is about what's surrounding them, what are their family, and what medical help do they get, and all things that will influence their lives. And it's about when you're meeting someone to take part in sport, it's about thinking about how their body works and also what family support they have, and combining all the different aspects of that to think about your athlete in the bigger picture.